at a very fundamental level, firms now are very, very powerful organizations. And when you look 6,000 years back, and you look at the history of mankind, you realize that historically the dominant power was always the power that would take care of poor people. So for many, many centuries, the dominant power was religion. And then for 200 years, the spiritual power gave way to the political power. And then the states, the local governments were in charge of poverty alleviation. And now, which is the most important and powerful organization? Firms. So firms have to realize that with power comes duty. And the duty is to take care of poor people. I think there are three reasons for that, and each of the reasons builds on the two others. The first one is that firms are creating penalty poverties if they don't focus on poor consumers. They don't mean to do that, but by looking at the more sophisticated and the richer customers, they forget that there are poor consumers who have to be taken care of. And firms don't want to create poverty penalties. Poverty penalty is the fact that the poor consumer is paying more than the rich consumer. And firms should not accept that. I'm not saying that they should pay less. I'm saying that poor consumers should not pay more. Okay? The second reason is what we call the business case for firms. Firms may do well by doing good. They may do well by trying to sell to poor people. And there are 5 reasons for that. The first one is it gives them access to resource. Working with poor people, get them access to resource. We see that, for example, for Danone, who has access to resource in Indonesia, in Egypt, in Ukraine, because they cater to the needy, to the poor people. Second, it gives them extra sales. Top line, not much of a bottom line, not much of a profit, but extra sales. Third, most importantly, it gives them ways to innovate. Reverse innovation is probably the most important concept in innovation for the next 20 years. The fact that innovation will come from the bottom of the pyramid. Frugal innovation. Emerging countries will be the centers of innovation for the next years to come. Fourth is the case of motivation for the people. People, managers, they're not only motivated by their paycheck, they're also motivated by the fact that the firms is doing something that is that is important for their constituency. So developing inclusive business for the poor will increase the motivation, the engagement, as we say in French, of the employees. And that's, of course, very, very valuable. The fifth reason of the business case is the fact that by working in alleviating poverty, you build social capital. The company's reputation is increasing, and of course, this is very valuable. It's valuable vis-à-vis the consumers, but it's also valuable if there is something that happens. Shit happens, if you excuse my French here. You may have some problems. And if the company has a good reputation because it has been building a reputation year after year after year, then the company will be less prone to attacks by third parties. So, first reason, creation of a poverty penalty that you cannot accept. Second reason is a business case. And the third reason, which is probably the most important, I kept the most important thing for the end, is the fact that firms need to change. I think it's something that everybody should be aware of. You must change. Firms need to change. The utopian is the one who believes that the past will be repeating itself, and it's just not true. And working on poor consumers is a way for the firm to change the course of events, to make a more sustainable world, in fact. That's a big name. Social business is a term that has been invented by Mohamed Yunus with a 2006 Nobel Prize, Peace Nobel Prize. And he invented that concept with 3 characteristics. A social business first has a social impact. So the objective of the business is to alleviate poverty, whatever the form of poverty. It can be children malnutrition, it can be older people, it can be the problem of access to water, etc., etc. So first characteristic, the goal is to alleviate poverty. Second characteristic, it must be run as a business, i.e. it must be sustainable. The business should not lose money. Okay, so we're very, very far from philanthropy. The business should pay for itself. And the third characteristic is that if there is profit, then the profit does not go back to the shareholder, but is reinvested in the business. So social business shareholders will not get any profit back for the business. Mohamed Yunus said that they are speaking to the selflessness of the person aspect, not to the selfishness aspect of the person.